I don't know how many of you know this, but a few weeks ago I learned that against all odds I am pregnant. Now, I wish I could tell you otherwise, but after numerous ultrasounds and blood draws, we have determined that my pregnancy is once again not progressing and is not viable. And once again, I have scheduled an appointment to terminate my pregnancy.
So that woman is Arizona State Senator Eva Burch, who announced to her colleagues, as you can see, that because her pregnancy isn't viable, she is planning to get an abortion. She said that in her speech on the Senate floor, despite knowing that her pregnancy is likely to result in a miscarriage. This is, as she explains, the safest way. She hasn't yet gotten that abortion because of the draconian anti-abortion laws in the state. There is about a 15-week, there's a 15-week ban on abortion in Arizona. She's still within her window. She's 8 weeks pregnant, but there's a lot of hoops she has to jump through before she gets that abortion. Take a listen.
First, I was required to have another ultrasound at the abortion clinic, as all patients seeking abortion are required to do in Arizona. An ultrasound that I absolutely did not need to have. I didn't have an ultrasound because my doctor thought I needed one. I had one because legislation has forced me to do that. An invasive transvaginal ultrasound that I didn't want or need to have, performed by someone who didn't want to have to do it. Then I got to sit through an exhaustive list of absolute disinformation that was read off to me. I was told that there were alternatives to abortion, parenting or adoption among them, as if delivering a healthy baby is an option for me. It is not. And from where I sat, the only reason I had to hear those things was in a cruel and really uninformed attempt by outside forces to shame and coerce and frighten me into making a different decision other than the one that I knew was right for me.
Now, why is Eva Burch, Senator Eva Burch, explaining what's going on with her? Why is any of this relevant? Well, that's because women's reproductive rights and right to an abortion are being taken away. And in fact, in Arizona, which again already has this 15-week abortion ban, there's another law that it forbids abortions for the sole reason of genetic fetal abnormality. And it's still in effect, and it's pending, and pending the outcome of an appeal to block it. Again, so it went through, but there's an appeal. So the Arizona Supreme Court is weighing whether to reinstate a near total ban from the year 1864 that would prohibit all abortions except those to save the patient's life and punish doctors who violate that rule with a mandatory 2 to 5 year sentence in prison. So, she's speaking about her fetal abnormality. When the baby does not grow, when you see week to week, there's no growth, there's something wrong. You don't know why exactly. 8 weeks is super, super early, but you know there's something wrong. This law, if the appeal doesn't go through, would make it illegal for her to get that abortion even at 8 weeks. That's why she's speaking out about it, and she explains more here.
I don't think people should have to justify their abortions, but I'm choosing to talk about why I made this decision because I want us to be able to have meaningful conversations about the reality of how the work that we do in this body impacts people in the real world. I don't know how many of you have been unfortunate enough to experience a miscarriage before, but I am not interested in going through it unnecessarily. And right now, the safest and most appropriate treatment for me and the treatment that I choose is abortion. But the laws that this legislature has passed has interfered with my ability to do that, along with countless others.
Exactly. So, and there's a few choice words in there. One of them being, this is what I choose. This is what I choose. It is also the safest, and I don't want to have a miscarriage. What so many women in states like Arizona and red states across this country are being forced to do is wait until they have a miscarriage. And even then, as they are miscarrying or as they are bleeding, they are not able to get abortion care in order to ease that process. And even then, if they have the abortion, or if they have the miscarriage, excuse me, they might be accused of having something to do with it, of mishandling remains, as we saw not too long ago. If they have a miscarriage in a toilet, I mean, it goes on and on and on. But while she's being very, very handholdy, right? She is trying to explain as calmly as she can that this affects everyday people, not just state senators, obviously. She just happens to be one. And can you just empathize with this very human experience. Before I get to you, all the Republicans left while she was speaking. All but one left during her comments. Imagine walking out on someone talking about that.
It's not
insane.
really that hard to imagine, because the backbone of this law, it's fake empathy for quote unquote the unborn, and just a blatant disregard for the safety, the health, and the well-being of these, pregnant women. There's just no two ways about it. I know we spend a lot of time critiquing Joe Biden and the job that he's done campaigning for himself, proving that he should get to run another term for presidency. But guess what, man? I think he's got a good chance, as good a chance as anyone that the Democrats could throw out there, simply because the Republicans will refuse to stop stepping all over themselves. They will step in it at every single turn. Nobody actually wanted this abortion ban. There's a minority of people in this country, and I would say even a minority of Republicans, who were really gung-ho and abortion ban absolutists. And they got this law when nobody was asking for this. And so because they got it and they pretended to care about this and want this forever, they've gone through with it, and it has hurt them electorally. These bloodbaths that they were supposed to give the Democrats in 2022, and other off-year elections, Republicans have been getting wiped off the floor because they continue to support a bunch of policies that simply are not popular with the American people. And stuff is just, it borders on inhumane, honestly. The idea that you would tell a woman who's carrying a baby that her doctor and medical professionals have determined is not viable, like she cannot possibly have a viable pregnancy, that she should have to bring that thing to term somehow, is absurd. Rather than this be an issue with her and her doctor, that they figure it out. It's just lunacy on its face. It's absolutely political hell for Republicans, and I can't believe they're still running with this thing.
Oh, I mean, and they're not, right? They're trying to not, and yet statewide, this is what Republicans are doing. But in Congress, they're like, don't mention that. No, let's not talk about that. Yeah, we got what we wanted, and it's not really turning out. That's what happens when your theory is put into practice. In theory, life is important. In practice, you're killing women. But hey, you're just a theoretical guy, and you're most likely a guy who's trying to legislate all over the place here. And it's true that I think this is also bringing Democratic women, female legislators who are both Democratic and Republican together, which is very dangerous. But just another thing that has broke just this week is that Louisiana doctors, because of that state's abortion ban, are performing C-sections on women with non-viable pregnancies in order so that it doesn't look like an abortion. C-sections, major abdominal surgery in order to not do an abortion. This is wild. I mean, talk about cruel, talk about gruesome. This is all of that. But number one, and this is the last thing I'll say, this is an invasion of our privacy, which was the basis of Roe v. Wade to begin with, was all about actually saying, hey, this decision, not up to a judge, not up to a legislator. This decision is about you and your family, between you and your partner, between you and your God, right? And my God's not your God, okay? So that is what the foundation of this was. It was totally not medical at all. It was just the right to privacy, and that has been obliterated. So amazing that Eva Burch is speaking out, and others have done so, but we will see, as Waz says. Let's see how this hits them in November.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.